Welcome back to Oathbound Gaming. Today we're taking a look at MechWarrior's 5 Mercenaries. It recently launched on Steam, but it launched about a year ago as an Epic Game Store exclusive, unfortunately. But we'll talk more about that at the end of the video when we go through pros, cons, and final thoughts. So, we're going to start off by going into co-op, but before I do that, I'm going to show you what a new career looks like real quick. When you go to new career, you can choose from a star system house. For those of you that know MechWarrior lore, I'm not huge into the lore, but there is a deep lore with MechWarrior, and it goes way back. You know, MechWarrior is a long-standing series, so there's a lot to it, a lot of lore. But these are the houses, and this goes back quite a bit from other MechWarrior games. It goes back in time a few, I don't know, 100 years or so, where the houses are still like a big thing. So you get to pick a house, and you're part of that, at least when you start. And you can make choices on who you want to do missions for or against, and that affects your reputation with them. But more on that when we get started. So I'm going to actually load a career in which we chose the main campaign. So let me explain this further before we jump into the actual game. There's a career mode. It's very similar to the campaign mode, but the campaign mode has additional missions in it where you can complete the campaign. You don't have to do that. You can just play a campaign like you're interested in, just, I want to do my own thing, or play a career. But if you choose the single-player campaign, that eventually opens up co-op in the campaign. About like an hour or so in, or an hour or two, campaign co-op unlocks. So when we go to load, you'll actually see like campaign and my career mode saves. They offer the same kind of experience, except the campaign has additional missions. It's worth doing. So we're going to go ahead and load up right now, and I'll have Duckfat and Bucky joining me for some co-op action. Now it is 4-player co-op. We'll skip the screen because that's after a mission success. So this is like the main hub, right? And here we have our mechs, which are going to need repair. I'm just going to repair the mechs we have because we did a mission recently. So you do have to repair your mechs after missions. You can lose some of your equipment on them, like if your arm gets blown off, you can lose your gun, you have to replace that as well. So there's a whole ton of equipment you can buy. There's also a mech market, which you can buy new mechs. And some of the mechs you buy will already be busted. As you see, this one's hurting a lot, right? So you'd be repairing this thing to get it back in shape. So that costs money, and then you have barracks, which you have pilots, and they have stats. So there's a lot of progression, a lot of stuff you can unlock in your game to make yourself stronger, which I love. I love RPG elements like that. It's my favorite thing. If we go into our mechs real quick, you can also see our cold storage of mechs. These are the mechs we have, just we kind of collected, and if you ever want to change mechs, you can do that pretty easily. But let's get to the main map here, the star map. This is quite a big universe with all these little stars are like hubs in a way. We can travel from where we are here. We're at Bella right now, so we can say, okay, let's look what's on the map near us. We got the Black Market, which has a higher chance of having some rare weaponry. Cantina, you can get some bounties and stuff that they want you to do. Let's see, where do we want to go? Thermopolis over here has a Warzone contract and a raid contract. Let's travel there. And you're going to see there's a cost and a duration to travel. And as you're traveling, time is passing, and you have fees that happen on like a monthly schedule, like the pilot's salary and upkeep fees and all that stuff. That travel fee is pretty expensive, but there's some mods to adjust the price of it, which I highly suggest, otherwise it gets quite ridiculous to jump around the star map and try to find stuff that you're looking for. It just becomes an impossibility once you jump like 5-6 times or something like that. It just gets really expensive. So we're gonna go ahead and go to contracts here, and on this map here, or on this Thermopolis star base, whatever you want to call it, the hub, there's a few contracts here, and there's different types. Now you see they're all for Marek, House Marek, and if we keep doing missions for House Marek, we'll become very well liked. Our reputation will go up with them. You can see they consider us a hero right now because we've done so much for them. We make sure to focus on getting our reputation up with them, and that will affect this thing called negotiation points. So let's pick a mission. Let's pick Warzone. Those are fun missions. They're tough. Now we got negotiation points here. So before we start the mission, we're going to allocate them and how we want to spend them. We get 10 points plus an additional 5 because of our reputation with them. If our reputation was bad, like below neutral, we'd actually lose negotiation points. So we can say, hey, we want to get paid out more C-bill, which C-bills are the currency in the game. So we're going to use negotiation points for that. We want more rights to the salvage. We want more share of the salvage after the mission. And that's like mechs you kill in the map and or during the mission and things you find, weapons that come off the mechs that you kill. You have more share of the salvage at the end. So we're going to put more in there and say, yeah, we want more of that. In addition to that, we can pay for pretty much insurance. Say, hey, we want you to cover some of the damage to our mechs, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty nice, I don't know, feature option there. And you might say, well, what's the difference between the C-bill and the damage coverage? If you notice, I'll spend a negotiation point here. It won't go up as much as a single point in the damage coverage. So it's a little bit of a gamble, like, oh, do I want a bigger payout, or I want to put a little bit on the insurance there to pay us out? Or you can put it in an airstrike. We don't necessarily need our airstrikes, but we're going to take them because they're fun to use, and I'll show you. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. On this mission here, this is our loading screen. You'll see we have 4 pilots, 4 mechs. On the right here, this is an NPC. We have Duck and Bucky with their 2 pilots and the 2 mechs they have selected. And this is me on the left, my pilot, and my mech. Now, when I go to start, it's going to say, hey, you're still repairing your mechs, so you have 32 days to wait. You can choose, okay, I either want to go back and not waste those 32 days, or wait. And it'll automatically fast forward time and say, okay, 32 days passed, you're now fully repaired, and you'll be good to go. Now, I'm still loading in because this is actually the first time I'm playing on this install. I uninstalled and reinstalled. I was like, let's do a video, so that's why the loading is actually taking quite some time. But it's much faster after you do a few games, kind of like assets load and stuff. So, we're getting started here. On the left side, you'll see our mission, what we're tasked in doing. And we are on a bit of a ship right now. Alright, we're gonna be dropped off. Oh, wait, are we not on the ship? We're not on the ship one. Oh, we are. Okay. We're grounded, though, so it's gonna take off and leave us.
We should do what we can to help them out. They will make earning our combat bonus all the easier the longer they stay in the fight. Our employer has okayed the use of airstrike on this mission.
So now,
for strike confirmation.
These yellow icons here, or yellowish green, are allies. We're here to help them. That's part of our mission here, is we need to defend these dudes and repel the enemy force.
New target, Shadowhawk.
Alright. So those are enemy mechs. Obviously, red is bad.
Target acquired.
Red's always bad. So we're gonna target one of them, hopefully when I get a little closer. Now this mech I love. This is a King Crab. It's got my missiles that I lock on. Boom, he's dead. And it's got 2 gauze rifles and a laser. What did I put the laser on? Okay. Getting used to my keybinds again. I changed a bunch of stuff. The game can get quite difficult, and we're all in like assault mechs, right? Assault's the highest. There's 4 tiers, right? There's like the light mechs, the medium, the heavy, and then assault being the heaviest, and that's the big boy mechs. Boom! It's a big damage. That was a light one, so very easy for us to take out. And for those of you that know MechWarrior or love MechWarrior, you probably have like your favorite mechs. Like, oh, I want my Atlas, stuff like that. Now, the game has a lot of mechs. However, there are mechs missing from the MechWarrior lineup that you're probably used to. And the reason for that is lore-wise. Lore-wise is why they're missing. I think this is an urban mech, right? Right here, this little ally one. But you'll see a bunch of different mechs that you're probably used to, but again, your favorite mech might be missing because of the time that this game takes place in. And it's kind of progressing. You progress through the time as you play. Like 30 days pass, and eventually a year will pass, and 10 years will pass, and universe starts to develop a little bit more, and some mechs that you might not see early game become available. But at the end of the game, you don't reach the end of MechWarrior, you know? Like, you don't get everything that MechWarrior has ever had, so your favorite mech might be missing in this game. But, like I mentioned before, there are mods in this game. You can probably mod in some of your favorite mechs, because people have made them, and the modding community is actually pretty damn good for this game. They've released a lot of stuff. I'm hoping the game eventually releases DLC that expands the timeline and the availability of the mechs, and we see some of our, I don't know, more favorite mechs. This one's awesome, the King Crab. I used to like the Catapult back in the day, and that is actually in this game. But it's not great. I think it's a medium mech or something. Oh. And like most MechWarrior games, you can damage most or all, maybe all. You can damage parts of the mechs. You can break off their arms, their legs. You can get headshots on them, take them out easier. Ooh. That guy went down. That was an assault mech. So the icons where I'm targeting mechs, like you'll see above them, that little like almost like triangle-esque icon. Inside that triangle is a certain number of dots. That's the weight of the mech, the class of the mech, I guess is the right terminology. So the 3 dots here is an assault. That's a light mech with no dots. 1 dot's medium, 2 dots heavy. You get it. So you know what kind of class you're going up against and the difficulty you're gonna have fighting the thing, or not so much. I guess lack of difficulty sometimes. You're going up against a light mech, you kind of just almost swat him aside. Double gauze rifle to the face usually does it. Duck do it. You look like one of those. What is that mech?
The Nekrage.
Oh. It's it looks almost like one of those alien type of things from Alien vs Predator with the or StarCraft that has like the, even Warhammer has them, the flared out back of their, yeah, the Broodmothers. That's what it looks like. It looks pretty cool. He's got the black and red. He's got my colors. I've been rolling around with this. Actually, we let Duck, I think, customize the paint of all the mechs because I don't care too much for cosmetics. I got the white and red going on there. It's got like a blood and looks pretty cool. But on the left side, you see the mission progression. We have 22 enemies to kill in this war zone, and I want to launch this airstrike on them at some point. If I get a good opportunity, I'm going to launch it on them. I think it'd be pretty devastating. That's the one we used our negotiation shares to bring. So we're like, hey, give us some airstrike support for this mission. That's part of our negotiation. Give us some backup. One tip, by the way, there is friendly fire in the game. You can disable that if you get a mod for that, if you're not a fan of that. So you don't have to be like, oh, I'm not playing it, it's got friendly fire. And with some of the trolls you might run into if you're playing with public games and stuff, that might be a good thing to get. I'm getting messed up here. Ooh, double gauze finished him. The Hunchback. This is like a medium mech, but I swear this thing always seems tanky as hell. There was a lot of people wailing on that thing for it to just not go down. All right, I am hurting. If you look down at the bottom left, which is why my webcam's a little bit more towards the right than normal. The bottom left, I don't want to block that. You'll see the damage to my mech. It's actually pretty bad, and you can start losing arms and legs, and you could obviously blow up and die, which sucks. But I should be okay. I'll play a little bit more defensively. But there's a lot to do in the game, a lot to progress. Like, you start off with, like, little baby light mechs. You might get, like, one medium when you first start out, and then you earn your money. You start doing harder and harder missions, getting larger payouts, searching the galaxy for good mechs on sale, or salvaging them, killing enemies with a mech and be like, yo, I want that. And you take it at the end of the mission as one of your rewards. Well, you can if you have enough salvage shares. And you definitely don't have to co-op the game, but it's so, like, seamless that I could be playing on my own, and then, I don't know, Duck and Bucky log on, they just hop in, they'll take control of my NPCs I have set up, they just hop in the mechs with them and start playing with me. So, we have an NPC with us. I think it's behind me, following me right now. Yeah, at the top you can see a little bit to the right of the mini-map, you'll see my name, Bucky, Duck, and then Herd. Herd is the NPC. You heard? He's following me right now. He's got a King Crev as well. Duck in the Night Star, and Bucky in a Stalker.
You can command the NPCs.
Yes, that's true. You can order the NPCs and say, hey, form on me, attack my target, go to location, so we can say... There we go, I told him, go there. I'll tell him to attack that javelin, which probably is not a big deal, because that thing will blow up in 2 seconds. The Locust, very fast, very weak. Oops, I just hit Duck with a bunch of rockets. It's also little, like, vehicles and stuff. Some of the tanks can do some real damage. They get, like, these heavy tanks, like, ones with missiles, one with kind of like ballistics and stuff. They hurt.
Explosion imminent. Your target is about to crit, Commander.
Blew the leg off that Locust just now. So he limps, and he loses his speed advantage, and it makes it very easy to pick off. Got a rifleman there. Ooh. Double Gauss don't care what you're piloting. Oh, enemy reinforcements coming towards the northeast. Really fun co-op game though. There's a lot to do. You could potentially play this game for hundreds of hours if you want. If you're less of a completionist like me, like I love getting all of my achievements, complete the game, be like, well, we did it, we completed the campaign and stuff, but you don't have to stop. You can keep going and just wreck the galaxy and stuff. If that's what you choose to do. Oh, I should airstrike, right? Let's see if I can get an airstrike. Let's do it right around there. Oh, come on. Okay, airstrike's coming in. I'm a run. I think I'm a little close. I might land on our ally too, but that's his problem. Yeah, it landed on some of them. Damaged them. Didn't really kill them. But that did some damage. Alright. But the, so it's not really my problem, or the NPC's problem if he dies. So at the end, I gotta repair everything. Like, you gotta pay for all your repairs, and if you have someone that's really, really bad at the game, they might get your mechs destroyed and stuff. It's like, oh man, you know, you gotta pay for that. And at the beginning, it's tough. Money's tough, but you start really snowballing a bit, you know? You get the strong mechs, you start building your reputation up with some of the houses, so you can get more of your payout, you can take some of the harder missions, and it starts paying off. The airstrikes are definitely cool.
Mission complete, Commander.
Mission complete.
Every kill from here out is bonus pay.
So,
Stay around as long as you like, but don't get too overconfident. Enemy forces still have a sizable hold of this area.
see what Ellen is saying? Oh, I'm sorry, Rihanna? Thought it was Ellen. I always get confused. But she was saying that you can hold out in this if you want to. You can, in this type of mission, you can remain in the mission and try to just keep fighting enemies and get a larger payout, or you can say, let's get the hell out of here. We've had enough. I'm gonna put another airstrike right there, see if it happens to hit these little guys coming in. I think that one ran through. escaped it. Oh, that guy, I don't think that... Oh, no, he did. He's not even touched. Double gauze blew his leg off right away. Now he's limping. And boom, he's done. So we want to head towards the escape and get the heck out of here before I blow up. But if you're in a mission and you're doing quite well, you're good on ammo, you can hold out and get a larger payout if that's what you want to do. There goes his leg. Done. So you can definitely hold out if you choose to do so. But you don't have to. Thunderbolt is messed up over there. Then again, so am I. Ooh, got him. I didn't lose my arm, even though I'm super close to losing that. If you look at the bottom left, you'll see like a section of the shoulder here missing the armor, and it's red. If that gets hit like another 1 or 2 times, that's gonna come off, and you'll lose your weapon. You gotta repair it, but I didn't lose it, thankfully. So we're going. We are leaving the mission. We escaped. We succeeded. And when this finally loads, I will show you guys the reward screen. There we go. We're already max reputation on this campaign, but you see here's the payout, there's your reputation. But at this screen you'll get at the end of every mission say, hey, you have 27 salvage points here, right? And this is the list of everything we got in the salvage, all the mechs we killed, the weapons they were using, stuff like that. You can say, okay, I want this charger, it costs 28. Oh, I don't have enough, right? I don't have enough. I only have 27, so I could take this archer that costs 23, and then I can be like, all right, I'll take this and this, sprinkle in some weapons here and there, and take it. At the end of the mission, you see the damage you've done, the kills, your stat screen. We don't really care too much about that. But when we come here, you're gonna see we got this little yellow box here showing that, okay, our mechs are kind of damaged. They're not destroyed like this archer that we just took is. Like that one's gone. That's obliterated. So we gotta right click and say, okay, let's repair this mech. And it's like, okay, here's what that's gonna cost, your total cost. Also, there's a conflict zone penalty. You might be wondering what the heck that is. This red outline here is a conflict zone, so it costs more to repair stuff there, right? But here we see there's like an industrial hub here. They're connected by the dotted lines. If we come here, things will be repaired quicker and cheaper. So it might be worth saying, hey, let's go check what this rare mech is. Let's travel there, and then we'll start our repairs here. So things are cheaper, quicker, and we don't have to spend so much. But if we go to the mech market here, you'll say, okay, what is that rare mech? Oh, it's a Thunderbolt. And that might be a rare mech that you're after. You go search and you'll get some good mechs. You'll find an awesome sometimes, and that's always awesome. But there's also variations of mechs as well. That you'll find a mech that, like normally the awesome, for instance, has got all these lasers. But you might find a variation of the awesome that's rare that has ballistics, that has missiles, and it's just completely different. And some of them are a little odd. Like if you're used to mechs like the catapult or something, it's all missiled out, like that's its thing. You'll find it with all lasers and stuff, and it's like, wow, it's a little weird. But we're gonna go repair all these mechs now, and you'll notice if I go to repair the archer like I did before, there won't be that additional fee because hey, you're in a conflict zone. But I don't care about the archer. I'm gonna put it in the cold storage. Even this Highlander, we can throw it in the cold storage and just keep everything there. Now the nice thing about the cold storage is you don't get charged a fee. There's like maintenance fees on the mechs that you have active, but there isn't on the mechs in the cold storage. So it's important to say, hey, we're not using this mech, let's just throw them in there so we don't have to pay those additional fees. In addition to that, like I mentioned earlier, there's also your salary of the pilots that you have. So you want to keep that in mind, right? Now, one quick thing before we go to the final portion of the video, I wanted to show you customization, how you can customize mechs. Now, in some previous MechWarrior games, you had full customization. You can customize anything you want. That is not the case here. I started out kind of hating it, but it grew on me. I actually do like it now. So the King Crab I'm using is a perfect example of this. So you'll see it's got all 3 weapon types here. It's got the purple, which is like your ballistic weaponry. It's got like your large cannons, so you'll see this one. Burst fire ballistic weapon, an AC-10 BF, which is burst fire, or the typical AC-10, which is like your standard one big round, just boom, like a heavy slug, right? And I'm using Gauss rifles in both of mine. This slot is also a very large ballistic slot, so you see I removed the Gauss. I could put an AC-20 in there, which is obviously better than an AC-10. In addition to that, you'll see the AC-20, there's one I have here with nothing in it, no filled-in rectangles. Those filled-in rectangles are the tiers. So you'll see tier 0, if you look at the autocannon at the top there. Tier 0, this is a tier 4. You'll see a stat difference between them. The tier 4 is substantially better, and this is a super rare tier 5. Doesn't even have the squares anymore, just a filled, they're like, screw it, fill them all in, make it orange, tier 5. That's the highest tier available. But Gauss is an even bigger ballistic weapon than an AC-20, and I really, really, really like the Gauss rifle, so I usually go with the Gauss instead of the AC-20, but you definitely can go with an AC-20 if you want, and you can put 2 of them because you have a left and right arm for that. On the torso, the right torso, there's a large laser slot, or a large energy slot. I could put a PPC on there, which is like a single, like little, almost, they call it ion bolts, which is pretty much what it is. It's like a little ball almost, and it travels extremely fast. And they work very similar to the Gauss, but it's an energy-based weapon. Now the Gauss run on ammo, right? So if we go to details here, it's going to show. I didn't show this right off the bat on purpose because it might kind of blow your mind a little bit. Like, whoa, there's a lot to look at, right? So here's our weapons, but if we go to details, you'll see your weapons are still here, same 4 weapons, but you're also going to see that I'm carrying Gauss ammo. I put it in the legs so I don't get the arm blown off, and then all of a sudden all my Gauss ammo is gone because I have 1 Gauss left, but it blew the ammo off as well. In addition to that, you can hit ammo on an enemy. If you hit the ammo, that can actually ignite the ammo and do like dot damage. Like it starts like sprouting flames from like wherever the ammo was hit on the mech. So you have to worry about that as well. In addition to that, beyond ammo for the Gauss, I have heat sinks, which help reduce the heat that the mech produces. And if you're big on energy weapons, they produce a lot of heat. They don't use any ammo, but you have a heat gauge on your mech. And if the gauge goes all the way to 100, it fills up, your mech will shut down. It'll overheat. And that is very bad in the middle of a firefight. So you do want some heat sinks. And you can click here and say, hey, I want to put another heatsink. Let's put a single heatsink. So that's not as good as the double, obviously, but not all mechs can have double heatsinks. So we'll put our double heatsinks there. Well, mechs can have, I think all mechs can have double heatsinks, but you might not have them. There we go. Double heatsinks are quite rare. But they're better. But again, you can lose everything you equip, right? You can lose that Gauss and have to repair and be like, oh, let me put on a crappier Gauss. I lost my tier 2 Gauss, let me put my tier 1. So you can lose this stuff. So you don't want to, put it on someone who's going to lose it all, let's just say. So you got to keep that in mind. So I like using the large laser, but you can use PPC. You can use a close range flamer. This is, it builds up a lot of heat, but it can overheat enemies as well, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, the last weapon I have is the missiles that you saw me firing, LRM-10. You can put LRM-20s on, but I can't fit it on this mech. But you can get a mech that's all about, I want all lock-on missiles, or even, I don't want lock-on missiles, I want close-range, unguided missiles where I can aim them and just unloose a stream of missiles right in the face of another mech. Like, that's an option, too. This is kind of cool, too. A NARC. Specialized missile launcher that fires a projectile that affixes to its targets, improves missiles locks and accuracy. So if you know a lot of people in your team are using them, you can tag a unit with this thing and make it a lot easier for everyone on your team to just loose mad rockets on them. So there's a lot of customization, but you are limited to what weapons go in each slot. In some other MechWarriors, they were just like, hey, this is a large weapon slot, put large weapons. Doesn't matter what the weapon is, put it on in there. But there is limitations in this. I started off hating it, but it grew on me because it gave purpose to finding other mechs. It made me actually search for mechs that had the dual Gauss rifles that I really wanted, and it's kind of cool searching for it. In addition to that, armor. You can put more of your mech's weight. You'll see it's a 100-ton mech. I can allocate more weight or less weight to armor, and maybe I really don't want to fill this. I don't want to bring missiles, maybe. I don't want it, so okay, I'll max the armor, and I'm more tanky, and I'm also gonna bring some extra gauze ammo because I like using my gauze a lot. So we'll gauze up like that. Boom, more gauze, and I can say yes, complete this work order. This is what it's gonna cost. It's gonna remove my LRM, and it's gonna install all that other stuff. So lots of customization there. Pretty cool. But enough of that. Enough of me talking. Now go listen to me talk some more at the end of this video in the pros, cons, and final thoughts. But what you don't know is I get to rest my voice before I record that. Alright, let's go. The pros, cons, and final thoughts for MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries. That's right, I changed my shirt. I went and worked out and took a shower, right? Give me a break. Pros. The combat is what all future MechWarrior games should strive for. Loved it. Combat felt great. It felt impactful when you use big weaponry and you hit something dead on. It does damage, it feels good, and there's some mods that make it feel even better when it comes to the effects, like more explosive LRMs, like your missiles, your guided missiles. They explode more, it looks better. More smoke, more sparks off enemy mechs. Some cool stuff out there. Definitely take a look at some of the mods. A ton of content. There is no definitive end. Like I said, you can finish the campaign and keep going if you want. You can put in an additional 200 hours beyond the campaign if that's what you want to do. Complete the campaign, but keep playing if you desire to. There's nothing stopping you. You can keep going. You don't have to worry about, oh, I hit the end. Let's restart. You can keep going. You wanna amass a fortune. You want to have every mech in the game. You want to have a massive armory of weaponry with all the weapons you ever want. Go for it. You can do that. 4-player co-op. It is integrated quite well. To explain the co-op system a little further, as the host, let's say I'm the host, I can have 3 other players join me and they continue using my save. So they're playing with me using my 4 mechs and my 4 pilots. So I could be playing by myself. One of my bros logs on and goes, hey, let me hop in and join you. He hops in, takes control of one of my AI mechs, and he now controls that. When I play co-op games with my guild members, I don't play without them. I'll wait for them to log on before we spin up MechWarrior and go. But if you play by yourself and decide, hey, I'm gonna open it up to co-op and see what happens, they can join and just take control of your stuff and be right up to the level you're at. So you don't have to worry about them having to start from the very beginning with little baby mechs while you're all in top tier assault mechs. They can just start using your stuff. One thing the game does is it limits the permissions of co-op players so they can't like destroy your stuff and sell your mechs and just strip them of all their gear and stuff. But there are add-ons out there, and not add-ons, mods. There's mods out there that you can get that allows you to give permissions to players so they can edit their own mechs and do their own repairs, and they can manage it as well. Like, I play with my guild members, I trust them, they're not gonna grief me and just delete everything and ruin my save. So I can give them full permission, so they can play the game just as if it's fully their save. They can do whatever they want. So there's options out there to make it like a full co-op experience for everyone, or just keep it limited so they can't edit all your stuff. Play how you want. Mech customization is on point. When I first started playing it, I actually disliked it. I was like, oh man, I can't put any heavy weapon I want in a heavy weapon slot. I have to make sure that I put an artillery in this one, or I put a laser in this one, and my chest might have a heavy laser, so it's gotta, I gotta put a PPC there or a large laser, rather than putting an LRM there in the chest or some sort of artillery. I hated it at first, but it actually got me to look for other mechs, look for mechs that have the actual weapon slots that I like, and it added a lot of variety to the weapons that I used as I progressed through the game. Eventually I landed on the King Crab. The King Crab had exactly what I wanted. It had a large laser slot, extremely large artillery slots on both hands so I can use my Gauss rifles, and it had an LRM rocket so I can easily take out the small vehicles from long range or the choppers flying above. Loved it. Eventually really grew on me. I really do like it. Plus you can adjust the amount of armor you want to put on a mech, the heat sinks. If you're going to use a lot of like laser energy weaponry, you're going to want a lot of heat sinks there. So there's a lot of customization there. And progression feels great. When you first start, it's quite difficult. You're in little baby mechs. You got to be careful on what difficulty missions you're going to take on. And usually your squad of 4 is equipped with maybe 2 light and 2 medium to start, or 1 medium and 3 light. So you're quite weak to start out, but sooner or later you'll find yourself some medium, some heavy, and then eventually you'll land on the assault mechs and just wreck things. On the point of mech customization and progression, these are kind of together. You'll find variants of some mechs. I know I mentioned it a little bit earlier in the video. For instance, a catapult mech. Catapult, it's known for its missiles. Like, it's got missiles everywhere. Arms, shoulders, chest, missiles all over the thing. And you can put in the guided missiles or the unguided ones. So you could have a ton of missiles, right? But you might find a catapult that has no missiles and everything's lasers now, and an artillery one here, and lasers all over the place. And they're different variants of mechs that you already know. Or not. I mean, it could be new mechs. Maybe you're not familiar with the MechWarrior series, which is completely fine. There's nothing stopping you from jumping into this game if you don't know the MechWarrior series. That's completely fine. There's a ton of variants, a ton of customization that you can do on them as well. So you can keep your eyes open for some of your favorite mechs and find different versions of them. It's pretty cool. Mod support. I mentioned mods before already. I have to put this in a pro because this game would suffer if it didn't have mod support. And that's going to bring me to the cons section a bit, because there are some things that the game kind of misses out on a little bit that mod support thankfully is there to fix. Cons. This company was honored to accept an Epic Game Store bribe. That's right. They released a year exclusivity on the Epic Game Store. Honestly, it was more than a year, but I think their agreement was 1 year. I guess it just took them a little bit longer to get it to Steam. Epic Games, what they do is bad for gaming for everyone. PC, consoles, everyone. They are bad for gaming. They are bad in the world of gaming. I actually released a video on the channel. Go look at it. It's talking directly to Epic Games, saying, hey, I have a better way. Drop exclusivity crap. I have a better way for you to host your store. They completely ignored me. Tweeted it at them. No response. So, Epic Games, screw you. And I'm trying to hold back what I actually do want to say, but screw you, Epic Games. We'll leave it at that. And screw anyone that takes Epic Games Store bribes. I don't appreciate that. I don't like that. It's screwing over the game community, and it's screwing over the fans of games that supported some companies. For instance, Rebellion, I believe their name is. They made a game, the Sniper Zombie series. They got famous off of the Steam community. They made these games, Steam community supported them, and then they went and released one as an Epic Game Store exclusive. They came back to Steam and launched it at like full price, asking for like $100 for all the content, like a 10% off sale when it came to Steam. Me personally, I don't buy games that go to Epic Game Store for more than 50% of the price. So it has to be 50% off or greater off. 50, 70, 80% off, I will buy the game. I will not pay full price for a game that goes to Epic Game Store first. You treat us like crap, I'm going to give you a portion of the money that you're asking for. Usually I'll go to a CDK website and buy it from there, like I did with this game. I got it very cheap. Take a look at the CDK sites. Don't buy it from Steam directly or from Epic Game Store directly, of course. Give them as little money as you can. Essentially requires mods to fix many shortcomings. This game does have quite a bit of shortcomings when it comes to some gameplay and some restrictions. For instance, friendly fire is always on. You can turn that off if you want. I highly recommend turning it off. The game can get a little crazy with some friendly fire and some weaponry. You could have guided missiles that you go to shoot and it just hits a team member because he's standing close by and it kind of nicks him or rips his arm off. You can keep it on, obviously, if you want. That's up to you. There's a tonnage limit. Tonnage. Mechs weigh tons. Like assault mechs can weigh up to 100 tons. You go to do a mission and it'll be like, oh, there's a tonnage limit of 300 on this. And you have 4 people using mechs over 80 tons each. If you do the math, that's too heavy for a 300-ton limit. If there's 4 mechs at 80 tons or higher, right? So you have to have additional mechs ready, so someone could be like, oh, I guess I'll go to a smaller mech so we can go on with the mission. That sucks. Everyone gets used to these 4 mechs that the 4 mechs for your squad, and you love your mech that you're using, and then you'll hit missions that'll go, oh, you can't bring that mech. The squad's too heavy. Make sure you bring a baby mech, bring a medium or a large or a small mech so you can actually go do the mission. That sucks. You have to equip a whole second mech for everyone in the team, and everyone's got to be familiar with that mech and built the way they want, and now you're managing multiple mechs, it sucks. I don't like that. I personally didn't like it. That's an opinion, obviously. Take it or leave it. There are mods to fix that. So the friendly fire, the tonnage limit was horrible. And then the third mod that I absolutely recommend is there is a fee to jump from star to star, from like station to station, and it's extremely expensive. So as you're searching around, you might jump to like 20, 30 different stars looking around for mechs and weapons that you're really searching for, only to find that all of your money's depleted and you essentially failed. Like, you have to reload an earlier save because you screwed yourself. There are mods that fix that as well. So you still have salary you're paying, you still have mech upkeep you're paying as time progresses through the game, but you're not paying an arm and a leg every time you try to jump to a different station to try to find a new mech or a rare mech or some weaponry, or to even jump to an industrial hub to do your repairs. Because then you're doing math in your head. Do I repair the mechs right now while I'm in this war zone? Or do I jump and pay 150,000 in these credits to get to the industrial hub so I can have a cheaper repair? Does that mathematically make sense? Am I actually saving money by doing that? So you're doing all this stupid math in your head to try to justify whether or not you should repair here or jump somewhere else to do it. Get a mod, do yourself a favor, reduce that jump fee down to nothing, and actually enjoy the game. Missing some of your favorite mechs. If you're a big fan of MechWarrior series, this probably would bother you. If you're new to the MechWarrior series, you probably aren't even going to care. There's plenty of awesome mechs in the game. There's a large variety of them in the game. But if you have like that favorite mech, you're like, oh man, it's missing my Shadowcat, it's missing my Mad Dog or Roughneck, and then I put etc. because there's more missing from the MechWarrior series that you're probably like, oh man, it's not in this game, that sucks. Maybe we'll see like DLC that brings this into the game, and more future mechs, I'll call it, because the game takes place earlier in the MechWarrior timeline, so we don't have some of the mechs that get introduced later in the timeline. So, me, I don't care about the lore. I don't care. It's cool, it's there, it's deep, it's quite interesting, but I just want to blow up mechs. That's all I'm here for a MechWarrior game. There's story games where I'm actually interested in the story, but this game, I want all my mechs, I want to see them all, and I want to blow everyone up, and that's what I want to do. I just like the gameplay. There are mods to help with that as well. There's mods where people make their own mechs to kind of like, let me try to recreate the Shadowcat as a mod and upload that, and you can download that as well. Final thoughts. While I'm extremely disappointed that this company chose to take an Epic Game Store bribe, I will admit that the game itself is quite good. If you can find this game on sale or on a CD key site for cheap, I would highly recommend picking it up. Bring friends because co-op is a mech killing, building smashing, blast of a time. It's a good game. I had a great deal of fun streaming it and playing it. Some of you guys were there in the stream catching it. And if you haven't showed up at the stream, check down below in the video description and we'll link our stream there. It's always a good time on the stream. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I know this final session was a little long-winded, but I had a lot to say. So if you like this content, please throw us a like, throw us a sub. I always appreciate that. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Skiddat!